it is, the great classic British Christmas pudding, which you can't find anywhere else in the world. Full of wonderful good things. And because you can't over-stir Christmas pudding, I always think it's quite nice if you rope in all the family, from the youngest right up to the eldest. Let them all come and have a stir and make a wish. It's a nice little Christmas tradition. Now, one thing you have to remember when you're making Christmas pudding, it's very simple, but there are lots of good things in there. So I think the best thing to do is to start off by making a list and then tick them off as they all go in. I've made Christmas puddings and then found the almonds, 5 minutes later after they've gone in the steamer, and that's a disaster. So if you make a list, tick it off, you can't go wrong. Now, what I'd like to do first of all is go back and show you just what went into that mixture. And the first ingredient to tick off your list is 4 ounces of fresh white breadcrumbs. This should be followed by 4 ounces of shredded suet, available at the supermarket, 2 ounces of self-raising flour, and that should be sifted to give plenty of air, 8 ounces of dark soft brown sugar, 10 ounces of currants, and 4 ounces of raisins, 4 ounces of sultanas, 1 ounce of chopped almonds, and keep them roughly chopped so they're nice and crunchy, 1 small cooking apple, peeled, cored and finely chopped, 1 ounce of mixed candied peel, chopped yourself if possible because this gives better flavour, the grated zest of half a large orange, the grated zest of half a large lemon, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and make sure it's fresh this year, the cinnamon, it doesn't store well, 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg, 1 level teaspoon of ground mixed spice, 2 large eggs, 2½ fluid ounces of stout, 2 tablespoons of rum, and 2½ fluid ounces of barley wine. If you can't get that, you can use stout instead. Now, when you've given all the stirring you're possibly going to give it, the next thing you need to do is actually leave it overnight so that all the flavours can be absorbed into the fruits and into each other. Just cover it with a cloth, leave it overnight, and then it'll be ready next day for steaming. Now, what I haven't told you so far is the quantities I've given you make a 2-pound Christmas pudding. You can halve it and make a 1-pound, or you can double it and make 2 2-pounds. But this is the quantity. Before you steam it, pack it into a 2-pound basin and then cover the basin with a double sheet of greaseproof paper and a single sheet of foil, and then make a little pleat in the top here because it will expand while it's steaming a little bit, although it goes down afterwards, so the pleat gives it a little bit of room for play there. Tie it securely with string, and then with the string make a little handle because that makes it easily manoeuvrable. And now we're going to steam it in the good old-fashioned way. And before you reach for your pen and write me a letter and say that I could do it in the microwave, I just want to tell you that we've tried it in the microwave, but it really is better if you just steam the pudding in the old-fashioned way. It actually tastes nicer that way, and it's not a lot of trouble. What you need to have is a good-sized cooking pot so that you've got plenty of water in there, because water does steam away if you only have a little drop. So you need to fill it sort of 3/4 full, like that. And I've got an old-fashioned steamer here, one with perforations in it and a lid on the top. And I'm just going to pop the Christmas pudding in, like that, put a lid on, and steam it for 8 hours. And this is what a Christmas pudding will look like 1 day later after steaming and cooling. And now what it's going to need is some fresh covering so that it can go and be stored and matured, ready for Christmas Day. Now, what I do is I cover the top with a double sheet of greaseproof paper, and then I use an old-fashioned pudding cloth. This, in fact, is a piece of muslin, a double piece of muslin, but you can use anything. My grandmother used to use old sheets which she tore up into pudding cloths, or sometimes you can use a table napkin that's seen better days is quite a good idea. But it's a nice handy way of doing it. I'll show you why. Because you tie the corners up and then it gives you a handle for steaming on Christmas Day, like that. One thing I haven't mentioned is that I think Christmas puddings are actually better made the year you're going to eat them. I don't agree with all this keeping them for a year. I think they taste much better if they're made just a few weeks before Christmas and then just given a little bit of maturing time. So you can see once it's tied up like that, it's all ready to go in a cool, dark place. I put mine under the bed in the spare bedroom where there's no heating, and that seems a perfect place. And the little handle there is all ready for lifting it into the steamer on Christmas Day. We'll be coming to that in a later programme, and also we'll be doing the flaming with brandy, which is going to be quite exciting. Now, when you've got your Christmas pudding mix made, what you could do, instead of making a big Christmas pudding, or you can make a second lot, is make some small Christmas puddings, which you can tie up like this and give as Christmas gifts. Now, the mixture I've shown you will make 8 little Christmas puddings like this, and they're made in these little aluminium pots here, which you can get in good kitchen shops, and they're quite inexpensive. When you've put the mixture in the 8 pots, you just stack them up in the steamer, same size as I showed you before, and you steam them for 3 hours. And I think that's quite a nice little Christmas stocking gift to give to somebody. I can't really think anybody couldn't like my Christmas pudding recipe, but this is an alternative. It's an iced Christmas pudding with glacé fruits. The base is rum and coconut ice cream, and the topping is chopped glacé fruits which have been soaked for weeks in Madeira wine. If you want to freeze ahead for Christmas parties, these little chocolate chestnut creams are sensational. A layer of chocolate mousse, then chestnut cream, then chestnut puree, and finally topped with a candied chestnut. This is Christmas pudding without the pudding, if you like. A dried fruit compote of fruits and nuts steeped in orange juice and port. For a lighter touch, you could serve this with fromage frais or Greek yoghurt.